Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of Taxi Institute. Today we are going to talk about Japan's Specified Skilled Worker Number 1 visa. Many friends are concerned about what materials actually need to be prepared for this visa, and what the complete process, from domestic application to the exam in Japan, is like. Don't worry. In this episode, I will break down the entire document process and explain it step by step, so you know what to expect. First of all, we must be clear that the Specified Skilled Worker Number 1 visa was introduced by Japan to solve labor shortages, targeting specific industries such as nursing, care, food service, and construction, valid for 5 years, and you cannot bring family members. But you can obtain skill certificates while working in Japan, and later transition to Specified Skilled Worker Number 2. At that time, you will be able to bring family members. However, today we will focus on the application, materials, and process, starting with the domestic preparation stage. Step 1. You must first determine the industry you want to apply for. Requirements for different industries might differ slightly, but the general materials are similar. After determining the industry, the first thing is to prepare basic personal materials. Your ID card is definitely indispensable. Both the original and copies of the front and back must be prepared. The copies should ideally be clear, not dark and blurry, making it hard to read. Then the household register, also the original and copies. Note that you need to copy the household head's page and your own page. If your household registration has been relocated, it's best to also copy the relocation record page, just in case. Next is the passport. Needless to say about this, the validity must exceed the planned stay in Japan by at least 6 months, and there must be at least 2 blank visa pages. If you have a previous passport, it is also recommended to bring it along. Sometimes visa officers might check your entry and exit records. As for photos, recent color photos without hats are required. The size is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters with a white background and on the back of the photo. Remember to write your name and date of birth in pencil. Don't use a ballpoint pen as it easily smudges. Then is the proof of education. If you graduated from high school or secondary vocational school, you need to provide the original and copy of your graduation certificate, as well as the Education Credential Verification Report. This Education Verification Report is very important. You need to apply for it on CHSI, which takes about a few days, so prepare it in advance. If you graduated with a junior college or bachelor's degree in addition to the graduation certificate, it's best to also provide the original and copy of the degree certificate, which also requires education verification. Some industries might have special requirements for education, such as the nursing care industry, which may require a relevant professional background. This needs to be checked clearly in advance. Proof of work experience is also essential. If you have work experience in a related industry, you need to have your previous employer issue a work certificate, which should clearly state your work start and end dates and position, main job, duties, and it must also be stamped with the company seal. If you don't have relevant work experience, some industries might accept training experience, such as having participated in designated skills training courses. Then, you must provide the original and copy of the training certificate. Proof of language proficiency. Japanese ability is key for the Specified Skilled Worker Number 1 visa, which requires Japanese to reach N4 level, or passing the JFT Basic Japanese Language Test. Therefore, you need to provide the original and copy of your Japanese proficiency certificate. If you haven't taken it yet, hurry up and schedule a time to take it. This is a hard requirement that cannot be skipped. Next are materials related to vocational skill assessment. This part varies depending on the industry. For example, the food service industry may require a chef certificate. The construction industry requires relevant skill certificates. These certificates all require originals and copies. If the certificates are in Chinese, they also need to be translated into Japanese and stamped by a formal translation agency to ensure the validity of the translation. Then there are the materials from the Japanese side. This part needs to be prepared by your Japanese employer or receiving institution. First is the Certificate of Employment for Specified Skilled Workers. This is applied for by the Japanese employer to the Immigration Services Agency of Japan. After obtaining this certificate, they will mail the original to you. You need to bring this to apply for the visa. Also, the employment contract, which must clearly state your job duties, salary, working hours, contract period, etc. It must be in Japanese, and must have the employer's signature and stamp. In addition, the Japanese employer also needs to provide their business license, copy, and business overview statement, explaining the basic situation of the company and why they need to hire foreign workers. If it is a small or medium-sized enterprise, they may also need to provide relevant documents proving the protection of workers' rights. These materials are all prepared by the Japanese side and then sent to you. You need to check carefully if there are any missing materials once preparation is almost done. Next is the application process in China. First, you need to go through a formal agency or contact the Japanese employer directly, because it is difficult for individuals to apply directly for the Specified Skilled Worker Number 1 visa. Usually a receiving organization is required. Then organize all the materials and submit them to the Japanese embassy consulate in China or a visa application agency. Note here, the requirements of different consular districts may differ slightly. For example, the Beijing Consular District, Shanghai Consular District, etc. You must, based on your registered permanent residence or place of residence, choose the corresponding consular district to submit the application. After submitting the materials, the consulate will review them. There might be a phone investigation, asking some questions about your work experience, Japanese language ability, purpose of going to Japan, and so on. So you need to prepare in advance, and the answers must be consistent with the information in the documents. Once the review is passed, you can collect your visa. The validity period of the visa is generally 3 months. You need to go to Japan within this period. Getting the visa doesn't mean you can go to work directly. Most industries require taking a skills test in Japan first. So, after arriving in Japan, First, you need to apply for permission to engage in activity other than that permitted under the status of residence previously granted, which is what we commonly call permission for activities outside the status of residence. Without this, you cannot work. Then, participate in those organized by relevant Japanese industry groups. Skills tests and the test content depends on the industry. For example, in the caregiving industry, the exam covers caregiving knowledge and skills, and in the catering industry, cooking preparation, etc. After passing the exam, can you formally start working? Here I want to remind everyone, when going to Japan, in addition to the above materials, you also need to bring some cash, because you may need to rent a room when you first arrive in Japan, buy daily necessities, etc. It is recommended to bring a reasonable amount of JPY cash. You can also bring an international credit card. Also, remember to keep a backup copy of all original materials and photocopies in different places to prevent loss. There are also some precautions. For example, the materials must be true and valid and cannot be falsified. Once discovered, the visa will be refused, and it will also affect future Japanese visa applications. Your Japanese language ability must be solid, not only to pass the exam, but also for the convenience of working and living in Japan. In the process of preparing materials, if there is anything you are unsure about, be sure to consult the agency or the Japanese employer in a timely manner. Don't take things for granted, of course. To summarize, the materials for applying for the Specified Skilled Worker No. 1 visa mainly include basic personal materials, proof of academic qualifications, proof of work experience, Japanese language proficiency certificate, vocational skill certificate, as well as the employment certificate and employment contract provided by the Japanese side, etc. The process is preparing materials domestically and submitting the application, obtaining the visa after passing the review, going to Japan to apply for permission for activities outside status of qualification, taking the skill exam, and starting formal work. The whole process takes about a few months, so you need to plan ahead and prepare patiently. Finally, I want to ask everyone, what is your biggest concern about the Specified Skilled Worker No. 1 visa? Is it the specific requirements of a certain industry, or some detail in the preparation of materials? Welcome to leave a comment in the comment section for us to discuss together. If you find this content helpful, don't forget to like and follow. See you next time.